In 2019, Sarah received 47 text messages, 12 phone calls, and $800 worth of flowers, all in her first day of dating Marcus. 3 months later, she would lose everything she owned. This is love bombing, and it's destroying relationships at an unprecedented scale. According to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, reports involving love bombing tactics increased by 67% between 2020 and 2023. But here's what makes this manipulation so deadly: your brain literally cannot tell the difference between genuine love and manufactured obsession. The neurochemical response is identical. Sarah's story begins like a fairy tale, but ends in a way that will shock you. Love bombing was first identified by psychologist Dr. Margaret Singer in 1979 while studying cult recruitment tactics. She discovered that excessive affection delivered in concentrated bursts creates a psychological dependency stronger than cocaine. The technique works by flooding the victim's reward system with dopamine spikes 300% higher than normal romantic attraction. Cult leaders like Jim Jones used this exact method to recruit 918 followers who would ultimately die for him in Guyana. But love bombing escaped the cults. By the 1990s, relationship counselors began documenting the same patterns in romantic relationships. The formula is precise: overwhelming attention for 2 to 8 weeks, followed by gradual withdrawal, creating what researchers call intermittent reinforcement addiction. Dr. Joseph Carver's landmark 2004 study found that 89% of abuse victims experienced love bombing in their relationship's first month. The victims describe it identically: it felt like winning the lottery. Sarah met Marcus on Bumble at 11:43 p.m. on a Tuesday. His first message was 8 paragraphs long, describing her as his soulmate, based on 3 photos. Within 72 hours, he had sent her a custom playlist, written her a poem, and shown up at her workplace with her favorite coffee, information he'd somehow discovered from her social media. Red flags that Sarah's dopamine-flooded brain interpreted as dedication. She wasn't stupid. She was chemically hijacked. The love bomber's toolkit is surprisingly standardized. Excessive texting, average 43 messages per day in week 1. Future faking, mentions of marriage, children, or moving in together within the first month. Gift bombing, presents that seem thoughtful but are actually calculated to create debt and obligation. And the mirror technique, adopting the victim's interests, values, and even speech patterns. Marcus discovered Sarah loved vintage books and within a week had become a rare book collector. Dr. Ramani Durvasula's 2022 research revealed the devastating economics of love bombing. Victims spend an average of $3,400 in the first 2 months, on new clothes, expensive dates, and lifestyle changes to match their bomber's pace. Meanwhile, the love bomber often spends strategically, $200 to $500 on high-impact gifts that create maximum emotional debt. It's not generosity. It's investment in control. And the return on investment? Complete psychological ownership of another human being. Then comes phase 2, the devaluation. After 6 to 10 weeks of intensity, Marcus began arriving late. His texts dropped from 43 per day to 3. The poems stopped. Sarah's brain, now dependent on constant dopamine hits, went into withdrawal. She blamed herself. What did I do wrong? This is the trap. The victim becomes addicted to recreating those early highs, chasing a drug that their dealer, the love bomber, now controls completely. Neuroscientist Dr. Helen Fisher's brain imaging studies show that victims of love bombing display identical neural patterns to gambling addicts. The same brain regions light up. The same compulsive behaviors emerge. Sarah found herself checking her phone 1 to 7 times per day, driving past Marcus's house, and agreeing to increasingly unreasonable demands just to get those brief moments of his original intensity back. She had become neurologically rewired for abuse. The final phase is total control. With Sarah's self-worth now tied to Marcus's approval, he began isolating her systematically. Friends were jealous. Family was unsupportive. Her job was stressing their relationship. Within 4 months, Sarah had quit her $65,000 job, moved in with Marcus, and cut contact with everyone who had raised concerns. She thought she was choosing love. She had actually chosen psychological prison. The statistics are horrifying. 74% of love bombing victims experience financial abuse within 6 months. 82% report PTSD symptoms that persist years after the relationship ends. The Federal Trade Commission estimates romance scams, many involving love bombing tactics, cost Americans $547 million in 2021 alone. But the emotional cost? Incalculable. Survivors describe feeling broken for years, unable to trust their own judgment about love. Sarah's escape came 14 months later when Marcus, confident in his control, made a crucial mistake. He love-bombed his ex-girlfriend while Sarah watched. Seeing the identical script, the same poems, the same promises, even the same rare books, shattered the illusion instantly. Sarah realized she wasn't special. She was just the current target in a predator's pattern. That night, she Googled love bombing and discovered thousands of identical stories. Recovery from love bombing takes an average of 18 months, according to trauma specialists. But knowledge is the first defense. The warning signs are now clear: excessive early attention, rapid relationship escalation, isolation from support systems, and that addictive intensity that feels too good to be true, because it is. Sarah rebuilt her life, her finances, and most importantly, her ability to recognize authentic love, which grows slowly, respects boundaries, and never demands you lose yourself to keep it. Love bombing isn't love at all, it's psychological warfare disguised as romance. But now you know the signs. Now you know the science. And knowledge is the one weapon that love bombers fear most: an educated target who can't be controlled.